welcome back. This week we have a very creepy subject to talk about, but creepy in a good way. But anyway, I want to mention something up front. If you followed me on social media, you saw we got a book in the mail from a channel we follow, one of the bigger LGBT YouTubers out there, John and Erin Ferrara, Husband and Husband. And this is a great book that we got. And in case you didn't see it, look on the inside. And there we are. Look at us. Oh, isn't that adorable? We're a comic book now. But we went in on a Kickstarter for their book, their Volume 2 book, A Hot Mess. And it's a wonderful book. Go to their channel. I'll link it in the description. And we love them. So, there, plug out of the way. So today we want to talk about one of our favorite TV shows of all time.
Dark Shadows.
Yes. And this is an interesting TV show. If you remember back in the Halloween vlog where we showed what we dressed up as for Halloween, I kind of did a little tribute to Dark Shadows in the beginning of that video. So, all of you out there, no matter what country you're in, have watched a soap opera or a dramatic serial at one time or another on television. Just a continuing story. This show is unlike any other that has existed in television before or since. This ran on ABC here in this country between June of 1966 and April of 1971. But it's probably more well known for all the reruns it's had and home video releases since that. And to describe Dark Shadows in a nutshell, well, that's tough. Greg, how would you explain this show?
Well, I mean, the quick way is just all the creepy things that happened to the Collins family in Maine.
Mm-hmm. They live in this big house called Collinwood, and there are lots of secrets in this house. The most prominent of which is the vampire Barnabas Collins, played by Jonathan Frid. And he is just a wonderful actor. He wasn't there at first. There are these early episodes in which you had a little spookiness going on, but nothing really clicked with the audience, and the show was almost canceled. But then they decide to bring on this vampire.
It was kind of a last-ditch effort.
Last-ditch effort. He was only going to be on for like 13 weeks, and they're going to kill him off. And then the ratings went through the roof. And if you're a writer on a show and something works, you keep doing that. Yeah. It's simple. So he became a sex symbol for teenagers everywhere. Keep in mind, this show was on 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So all the children coming home from school was watching this show when it was originally on. Okay, so what we've been doing with this show is that, of course, it aired 50 years ago, and we've been watching 5 episodes a week, with the same lining up with the calendar of 50 years ago. So what we just finished was probably one of the most revolutionary plot lines that a daytime soap had done up to that point, which was to travel back in time.
Yeah, one of the characters went back in time to find, and we found out how Barnabas became a vampire in the first place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she went back to the year 1795. And because she showed up in these modern 1967 clothes and had a book of the family history with her, she was instantly branded as
a
witch, put on trial, sentenced to death. But at the moment she was going to be hanged, what had happened was that they had a seance in the present. And the lights went out during the seance, and a swap happened. The girl she replaced in 1795 came forward. She went back. And at that very moment that she's to be hanged, they swap places again. And mysteriously the girl who was supposed to be there shows up. Of course, they don't know who she is. They never met her in the first place.
This storyline was important, though, because Barnabas was originally written as a villain, but they were slowly turning him into the hero of the show, and being able to sympathize with him about how he came into his predicament was important to that.
That's the key, that a monster like a vampire usually is not written to be a sympathetic character. And that's where the writers struck pay dirt, is that they made him accessible. They made his emotions accessible to the audience. They made him sympathetic.
And you have to give a lot of that to Jonathan Fry's performance, too.
Yeah, even though he tended to forget his lines sometimes. That's one thing to bring up with this show. If you want to watch this show, be warned. It was a daytime show. They did 5 shows a week for almost 5 years. 1,225 episodes, half hours. So if you're going to watch it, it's going to take some time. But you can watch it if you have an Amazon Prime subscription in both the US and the UK. It's available. We checked for you. If you're a true fan, you'll start at episode number 1. But if you really want to get to the good stuff, start at episode 210, which is where Barnabas comes onto the scene. And it is in black and white for a little bit, but then it switches to color later on. So if you're not a fan of black and white, and why aren't you a fan of black and white? That's the first thing I want to say to you. Is that too creepy?
I don't know. I like the black and white. It adds to the creepiness of the show.
All right. Well, let's try an experiment here, okay?
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to snap on to black and white.
Okay.
You want to do it with me?
Sure.
All right. 1, 2, 3. See, now we're in black and white.
Are we creepy now?
Well, we're not really lit for a shadowy, creepy scene, you know. I'm not going to take the effort to do that, but I think we need to go back to color, okay? Ready? 1, 2, 3. There. All right. Video experimentation. That's the name of the game. But anyway, later on, in later plots, they brought on the great David Selby as Quentin, and he was the second big sex symbol on the show.
Yeah.
You know, as far as male sex symbols go. We don't want to leave the females out. Don't want to leave out Laura Parker of Angelique, who was born right here in Knoxville.
Yep.
Yes. The great Angelique. She put the curse on Barnabas in the past, and she comes back so many times over, and you can't imagine that role without her. And Catherine Lee Scott as Maggie Evans, and many other roles, Josette Dupre, and she's just wonderful. And she's been the kind of patron saint historian of Dark Shadows, written over a lot of books, kept the show in the minds of everyone, you know.
She's always at the conventions.
Mm-hmm. We need to go to one of those conventions someday, you know, maybe one year. They have a convention. You know, there are Star Trek conventions and there are Comic-Cons or whatever. There's been the Dark Shadows Festivals has existed for like 40 years.
Yeah.
So we got to go there someday. You
Yeah,
know.
and you know the cast who are still around are getting older. You know, so
Yeah, we won't see them for much longer. You know.
So
Anyway, that's Dark Shadows in a nutshell. You know. Of course, there's so much more to talk about it. But we recommend, if you want to watch this show, it's a good show to watch a little bit here and there and keep continuing with the story. And I recommend it. I've been watching the show for over 20 years. You know, I found it on the Sci-Fi Channel here in America years ago, and I was like, what is this show? I've never seen it before. Of course, I've already loved old TV. Did you know about the show before you knew?
I knew it existed, but I never watched it.
But I introduced you to it, and you were hooked. But anyway, don't forget, April 20th, the first edition of Was It the Best comes to this channel. We have some great commentary about some movies from yesteryear coming up. That's about all we have for this week.
Yep.
You know? So, remember to do your duty.
Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell icon to get notifications when we post new things.
Yes. And this is a new thing here too. He's always a new thing to me. You know. We love you guys very much. We hope you're having a great time, a great week. And Cameron, get well soon if you're still recovering, that is. We love you guys, and we'll see you. Bye.